I know that there are certain things in our society that become synonymous, but they certainly shouldn't be. And I think that what I'm referring to here in an aggressive fashion is how debt and income seem to be interchangeable parts from the vantage point of central banks. And I'll give you an idea. You know, we talk about we have a consumption economy, and the president, early in his first term, wanted to convert our economy into an export economy. I understand why, and it's kind of funny because China, that is an export economy, is doing its darndest to create a consumption economy. But the backbone of a successful consumption economy is that the consumption is paid for with actual income versus debt. Now, I'll give you some examples. Now, the big number we had before was 55 and 30. What those are is the percentage of subprime in the auto sector. 55% for used cars, 30% for new cars. And I'm not saying whether we're going to repossess these cars or not. I'm just looking at the notion of where the horsepower in the economy is coming from. We're not even talking about student loans. Consider this. Subprime auto loans for 2013 were up not fivefold, not sevenfold, not eightfold. They were up tenfold from about $2+ billion to $22 billion. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about debt in its own words. And the reason I say in its own words is because one of the most common talking points on this trading floor is trying to rationalize, trying to square, trying to come up with the rationale for a 255 10-year, a 125 boon, and record stock prices. Now, according to the Fed, and this is a little old, this came out in May. Now, since we ended the second quarter yesterday, in about another couple of months, we'll be getting the next report. But what it told us was still important, that for the first quarter, aggregate consumer debt right from the Fed was up $129 billion. It was the first time since the third quarter of 2008, and we never like to look back at 07 and 08, that you had 3 consecutive quarters of increased debt. And for the total consumption of consumer debt in the first quarter of about $11.6 trillion. So what's the point of all this? You know, if we oversimplify, there was a period where females that normally stood home were in the marketplace and earning a living, and that really helped. But the real issue here is if we continue as a country to fuel our consumerism with debt, there is no way the bond market's going to be wrong. Because until we start to get the income equation moving, the central banks can't do enough. Ultimately, the end game is we can't fuel an economy on debt.